Today's video is sponsored by Luster.
Yo, what's good, everybody? Hope everybody's enjoying their Christmas day today, or whatever holiday you celebrate or not. 2020 has been a pretty whack year, so I had it figured you're probably celebrating with or surrounded by fewer people than you normally would be. So today seemed like as good a day as any to do this studio tour, let you guys get a look behind the scenes of where and how I produce this content. If anything catches your eye today, the easiest way to get information is down in the description in the kit.co link. I have it all divvied out by sections according to how I use it, so you can find that information pretty quick. Now, before we jump in today, just a couple things I want to make clear. Number one, this video today is not a flex. If anything, it's the opposite. I come from very humble beginnings. Until quite recently, we lived in a small, not nice, not glamorous downtown loft apartment in Kansas City, Missouri that was packed wall to wall. We basically looked like we were hoarders, except with like desks and lighting stands and production gear instead of garbage. What you're gonna see today represents 5.5 years of work on YouTube. 1.5 of those years full time. And despite that, I've worked harder, more emotional, more intellectual, more financial, and time investment over the past 1.5 years than I have ever before in my life. Number two, a lot of what's in here is without question insane, absolute insane overkill for what I do. You do not need this level of gear or facility or space to execute product reviews. I cannot stress this enough. Don't let anything you see here today be a stopping block or an excuse for you not starting to pursue something on YouTube if that's something that you really want to do. On that note, you can miss me in the comments with, oh, that's stupid, or for that much money you could have had. It's irrelevant. Every purchase decision I made, I did at a point in time to solve a particular, often very specific problem I was having with my workflow. So what you're gonna see today is the culmination of 5.5 years of that mindset. Lastly, a trigger warning. I'm not into cable management at all. I don't do it. You're gonna see some atrocious examples of cable management today because this is a functional, working studio every day. And despite what you see in this little box right here, product reviews and product photography is not glamorous. Anything off camera is generally a disaster most of the time. I am constantly adding to or taking things away from a setup, and if I have to cable manage it every time, it really slows me down. I gave up on it a long time ago. All that said, you ready? Let's go!
So the original goal, the idea for this place started out pretty simple. This was the first time that I could have everything I needed for production in one place. This used to be spread across multiple rooms of our home. If you've ever done content creation before, especially if you do product reviews, you know all too well the pain of setup and breakdown. Not only is it really time consuming, but it can also be an easy stopping block to procrastinate because you just don't want to do it. And if you get all the way to final edit and you miss a shot or something doesn't work out in post and you have to go back and recreate that just to get that shot, it's a nightmare. So I wanted a space where I could just move a product through it like an assembly line and get all the stuff I needed. And if I missed anything or something didn't work out, it was easy to go back and capture it. So it's kind of divided into spaces. Behind me is the place you normally see on camera. It's got 2 desks over there, one for gaming and one for editing. Over here is like the natural light desk with a couple different surface options so I can get what I need in overhead handling stuff. This over here is all RGB mixing, color mixing, anything I need to do that involves a lot of elaborate lighting generally goes down over here. And then this desk over here takes care of all the messy stuff like switch lubing and soldering. So all in all, it started pretty simple, but as you'll see, it got pretty complex. So starting off with the area that you guys normally see on camera, that's generally the set you see for my intro and outros right there. And then this is kind of the new angle that you've been seeing, but a lot darker. We don't get a lot of natural light here, so this is probably the brightest this studio has ever been today. This has like a little, we've got a little sofa, love seat over here for when people are hanging out. And then we've got the BadSeed neon and a little plaque there. We also have a lot of natural plant life up here. This is a bamboo palm. I like to have a lot of stuff inside that reminds me of outside. Part of the reason we came up here was to take advantage of like the nature and the natural beauty. Because I spend so much time in this area up here, it was really important to me that I have like as much of the outdoors, indoors as I can. So we've got some nice plants up here, and then we just have a ton throughout the rest of the house. This shelf in the background here just kind of has like some tchotchke stuff that brands send out
different props I use in the videos. Generally, whatever motion slider system I'm not currently using, and then any like extra lighting, all the batteries, all the charging station stuff, that all goes on down here.
Of the 5 desks in here, 4 of them are sit stand, 3 of them are uplift, and 1 is a flexi spot. The reason why I use sit stand desks everywhere I can has nothing to do with the standing option. I never use them in that way at all. I did in the other space, but for some reason it just doesn't feel natural here. The reason why is because it's really nice to be able to move your desktop up and down if you get uncomfortable in a certain position. But most importantly, I use them for production work. Because I use a lot of slider motion rigs, they're really heavy, they're really cumbersome. A lot of times the tripods they're on don't get very low. So to get the angles I want, it's a lot easier to move the entire surface itself than it is to move and reconfigure the tripod every time I need to get a different shot.
Starting with this desk, this is where I test all the gaming stuff. This will eventually be for streaming as well. This is an UpLift V2 frame, and it has the IKEA Lindemann top, which is super dirt cheap, but it photographs really well. And if I tear it up too bad, it's like $35 to replace it. You guys may have seen that recently. Actually, it happens a lot. The main panel here is a ViewSonic Elite. It's a 27-inch 1440p. It's got a little curve to it. It is on a cheap monitor arm here because I always have trouble getting my monitors too high to be really ergonomic. I'm 6'4". Monitor stands without a riser generally just aren't made for guys like me. This panel here, this vertical panel, I get asked about constantly. This is just a cheap 1080p 60 hertz Acer. It was the cheapest thing I found at Micro Center the day I went in, and that's it. It's nothing special. It literally is just there to handle chat stuff. The mic and the arm setup, it's a Rode PSA-1, a SM7B on the mic. That is going into the DBX 286S and then into a Scarlett 2i2. That roll switch there is just there to handle mic muting, because the last thing you want when you're not expecting it is a hot XLR mic. I get asked a lot why I don't use a Go XLR. That's a great question. They've been out of stock for like a year, it seems like. So as soon as they're back in stock, that is absolutely what I'll go with. This DAC here, I do use a lot. This is the Arc Mark II from Mayflower. The reason why I like it versus anything else when I'm gaming is because it only needs USB power. So I don't have power bricks, a stack, RCA cables, or anything to mess with. It's just really simple. Headphones right now, I'm using the Sennheiser HD560S. Been testing those for a few weeks. Digma Ray's split keyboard there. And then I've got the glorious Ice Pad with the Viper Ultimate, and the Superlight has also been getting a lot of use right now. There is a capture card inside this PC. It's like an AverMedia 4K, but I also keep this Elgato 4K 60 around because this thing is totally portable. It records to SD cards. So like the consoles that are downstairs in the living room, if I ever need to capture any of that, I have all that stuff right there. I also do keep the Razer Black Shark V2 Pros for a wireless option. Always like to have a wireless gaming option and something that has quick access to a mic if for whatever reason I have like my audio stuff tore up at the time. The gaming PC under the desk here is Fractal Design Meshify 2, and that is a Ryzen 3900X with an Asus 3080 Tough in there as well. And there's that AverMedia card. I get asked about the lighting on this setup a lot. All these are up here are 2 little bicycle hooks, and they used to carry like a YN360, like RGB one. Now I use these Nanlite Pavo tubes, 4-footers. These are really versatile. That's one there. There's another one over there in the corner. You'll see them in the background sometimes. I use these for all kinds of stuff. And then just tucked down here at the bottom of the desk, I used to use Philips Hue, but now these are all Aperture MC lights. These things are amazing. I basically have these littered all over the studio. They have nice little soft boxes on them. They do come off as well, and then you can just adjust whatever RGB color you want, or effects, or HSI, 3200, 5500. These things are awesome. They're like $99 a piece, and I have like 6 of them now. I just keep buying these things. Everybody's really interested in this light all the time too. This is just a $10 gooseneck light from IKEA that clamps on the edge of the desk. This used to have a Philips Hue bulb in it, and now it has the Aperture B7C, I think. It's like their light bulb shaped version of the MC light, basically. It is phenomenal. Even though I moved from a full IKEA setup to this UpLift V2 that's got the IKEA top, that really solved the wobbling problem I had in my typing test videos. This arm right here is mounted on the desk next to it. And what this thing does is functions as a webcam mount, so I can put the GH5S on there and feed that to the capture card inside the gaming PC. I can also clip a microphone to this thing. And what that allows me to do is get sound tests on this desk while that mic arm is totally isolated so that bass is not moving up that microphone arm. It's not the best look aesthetically, but it's really versatile. Down here, we've got the Zoom H6. This does all the recording for anything that comes off that mic. It just records the SD card so I can move it around. Onto the main editing setup. This is just an UpLift desk V1 frame, 72 inch with their walnut laminate, like one of their entry-level tops. If you've seen the original video on this, I ranted and raved about how great this thing was. It is. I get asked all the time, do I still use it? Have I had any problems? How is it held up? This and that. It's like virtually bulletproof. It's been broke down, relocated, reassembled. I've never had a single issue with this, and despite this top being really affordable, it is like basically bulletproof. I've never had any issues with this thing at all. You can do whatever you want to this thing. I generally keep a desk mat on this. In this case, it's just kind of like just a black mat because I do work here sometimes, so like keyboard lube and whatnot gets on. I can't wreck the nice aesthetic stuff, so I like to use a little beater mat here. This is from Mountain. I have the Loop Deck CT. Basically all I use that for is for full screen color correction. That is an absolute luxury item. That is not a necessity at all. If they hadn't sent that out to me, I would not own it. Main daily driver keyboard is still the KBD 75 V2 with the silent alpacas, wearing the SA Bliss. Both the rest and the coaster are from Colt cables. Normally I'd use a glorious wooden rest, even though the purple and the gold doesn't really match this keycap set at all. It's so sick, I couldn't not use it. My main productivity mouse right now is the Razer DeathAdder V2 Pro. This is just like a really big, comfy palm grip mouse for me. And I find that not only do I hold it different than I do my gaming mouse, so I don't get so much repetitive motion stuff, but it also works really well in conjunction with the charging dock. So like if the Ultimate's not on there, then the DeathAdder is. So something's always on the charger, something's always on the desk. It's a really nice system overall. This riser setup here is from GroveMade. This is absolutely expensive, totally not a necessity, but I absolutely love this thing. It smells like real wood because it is real wood. So even if you have like an inexpensive actual desktop, you put something like this on top of it and suddenly it just really enhances the aesthetics of the entire thing. The monitor speakers you see in there are the iLoud Micros. Shout out to Josh Valor for a solid recommendation on those. It's really weird. I'm not used to working in speakers at all, but these are terrific. And despite being really small, they put out a ton of sound. It's awesome. As far as my go-to DAC and amp, I use the SMSL SU8 and the Drop THX AAA 789. I do have like the shit stack that I'll bring out sometimes for testing, as well as an eddy current tube amp, but these are the workhorses. This is what I use most of the time. Headphones are the Beyerdynamic DT1990 Pro. These are hands down my favorite headphone. If I had to give up every other one that I owned and only keep one pair, it would be these. They were expensive. They're 500 bucks, but they're also built like a tank. You'll probably buy these one time and never buy another pair of headphones as long as you live. The editing panel I'm using now, usually I use a 32-inch 4K Acer. Let's say it's an Acer Predator. It's pretty old. I decided to test this ultra wide. BenQ sent this out. I love this thing. I didn't think I was gonna like moving away from a 4K resolution. This is great. The stand on this thing fits the GroveMade riser just like perfectly. I do have the little light bar over the top that kind of throws some nice warm light down on the desk, and it's a great experience. I don't think I'm gonna go back to using a 32-inch. It did seem kind of weird at first to not be able to audition 4K footage at 4K, but there is so much screen real estate here, and I love having all the horizontal. This is flat as well, so if you've been put off in the past by monitors having curves in the ultra wide, this one's not. Big thumbs up from me. This PC down here is the Define 7XL. It's set on rainbow mode because I don't have any drivers installed for it right now. I don't like RGB drivers on my editing rig. This is a Threadripper 3960X, and it has the EVGA 3090 for the win inside. I do have my computers on the floor now, which yes, does cause me a little bit of anxiety. So what I did was put these on pretty cheap, like 10-inch by 24-inch glass shelves I just got off Amazon. That way they're not sitting there sucking carpet all day. Chair is the Herman Miller Aeron Type C. I bought this used for about 500 bucks out of New York, shipped really fast. It's not perfect, it does have a couple issues, but for my money, this is the absolute best money you can spend on an office chair, period. I want to take a quick minute to talk about today's sponsor, Lustre. Lustre is a free shopping tool or browser extension that compares products, prices, and reviews from all over the internet and puts it in one place for you. You probably heard me talk about them before. I want to show you how easy it is to use. Let's say you need a new pair of open back headphones and you want to see what's out there for under 100 bucks. The first pick is the Grado SR60E. Now you can scroll down, you can see what else made the list, like the SR80E for 20 bucks more. You can see where they pulled the reviews and ratings from. Credible spots too, like HeadphoneRatings.com or HeadFi, see any scores or awards, and click through to read or watch full reviews if you want to dig a little deeper. When you see the flame icon, that indicates a sale price, like this HiFiMan Edition S here. It usually goes for an average of about $133. As you can see, it's over $50 off right now, so you may wind up with more headphone than you bargained for. Let's look around the $500 mark. We've got the Ananda there, we've got the HD 660S, both great headphones, with the number one pick, the DT1990 Pro. Coincidentally, the same headphone I use every day as a daily driver. Lustre is totally free. It works right in Google and Amazon and can save you both a ton of time and money when you're searching for your perfect product. Check them out at join.lustre.ai.
So the main light that I use for all the A-roll stuff here is the Aperture C120D, and it's wearing the light dome. This was like the first real pro piece of gear I bought. It made a huge difference. There's since been a lot of stuff that's come to market that does an equally good job for a lot less money. This setup over here always gets a laugh whenever it shows up in the background of any of the videos. These are all the desk mats that I use in regular rotation. All this is a cheap garment rack off Amazon, and these hangers right here are just some clamping felt-lined hangers. That's it. This whole setup costs like around 80 bucks. This is brilliant. I looked forever for a way to store these. I cannot take credit for this idea. I saw this on Instagram. I wish I could remember where so I could give them a shout out right here. This thing changed my life organizationally. I love it. Down there you can see the glorious pads as well as some artisan stuff hanging out on the floor. This absolute eyesore, bane of my existence right here. This is the Honeywell portable AC unit, which not only looks horrible in the room, just an aesthetics nightmare. It also has this big piece of like beige dryer duct that sits up in the window as well. We already don't get much of a view here. That is one place we are severely lacking. I thought the view in the old house was bad, having like that brick wall alley view. No, tan siding, way worse. We don't get a lot of light here, and the houses in this area are really, really close together. You can like, what do they say? You either are a naked window neighbor or you have a naked window neighbor. I don't know which one I am yet, but I'm definitely one of those two. So this rig right here is my A-roll rig. So this is all talking head stuff. Generally, anytime I'm talking to you at all, it's happening all on this right here. There's probably an easier way to accomplish this by now. Definitely probably a cheaper way to accomplish this, but this has kind of been cobbled together. This is my first 4K camera. This is the Lumix G7. It's got a great sensor. It's just kind of lacking in some of the extras and add-ons. So we've got the Metabones speed booster adapter there, going into the Sigma 18-35 Art. It's an amazing lens. It's like the classic YouTuber lens. Got it in a little cage. And then attached to this is actually a Ninja V recorder. So I got away from recording to SD card and now I go straight to SSD. This also doubles as a nice monitor. If you have the G7, you know that you can't normally run a monitor out and record on the internal sensor. So this handles all the recording as well, but going to the SSD is super nice. For the main audio, this is the Audio Technica. This is the 4053B internal dialogue mic. And this is just going down into a Zoom H4n that I'm using as a preamp to feed into the actual camera itself. So all the audio and the video is all routed essentially through the camera and then ultimately outputted over HDMI to the Ninja V. What this allows me to do is record everything in just like one really big long take, because some stuff I'm like obviously reading to the camera. Some things I've like memorized and I'm delivering lines to the camera, and sometimes I'm just going off the top. So to just have one big file then I can edit down is a lot easier than trying to match up stuff across SD cards. So yeah, this just works really well. And everything here is just always together on this one tripod and never comes off. So it's just kind of all Caleb piked here. And yeah, I can just drop this wherever I want to, sit down and record talking head stuff. So this is the main desk right here. This is an absolute workhorse. This is the UpLift V2 commercial. I use this for almost all of my assembly stuff and the vast majority of my product photography. You see a little doctor stool under there, which is ideal for rolling around, getting under cameras, hitting different angles, making sure you got everything the way you want it. This desk is a beast. This is an 80-inch acacia solid wood desk. It's not long on durability, but it looks absolutely beautiful. The whole point of this desk is supposed to be to take advantage of what little natural light we do have here. I do keep another IKEA Lindemann table around as well, just to have some flexibility in whether I want a natural wood or a black backdrop. To supplement that natural light or to get some nice top light shots that are really dramatic, I've got this Falcon Eyes, just like all this thing is just a flat LED panel that just sits centered over the desk. and that goes into a C-stand here. This is really flexible in that I can take advantage of the natural light while it's around. If I need to black it out for whatever reason, I do have the blackout curtains here. They do a really good job of blacking the room out, but you can still kind of see these ripples in some of the background on the B-roll. So I did opt to put in a black paper roll setup here as well. I don't really know if you can see that. All this is a big roll of black paper pull down. And what that allows me to do is have a seamless infinite black background, which I can then use in conjunction with the natural wood or with the IKEA top as well. This little guy down here makes my life a lot easier. This is the Elgato multi-mount. So pretty much anytime you see overhead footage at all in a video of mine, it's generally accomplished just like this. I really like this mount because it's just easy to throw up. I can put this literally on any desk, anywhere, hang a camera off the end. Got the little Jobii monitor up there from Atomos. This thing is a godsend. And this is how I get all the overhead stuff, just like this. This is one of the B-roll cams that I use here. This is the GH5S from Panasonic. It's got a 12 to 35. Keep in mind, it's micro 4/3, so it's actually like 24 to 70. And then this is the Olympus 60 mil as well. This is the macro lens. This is how I get those super, super tight, up close, textured shots that really do a good job of breaking up some of the mundane footage. It's a great camera for low light. Not real big on autofocus. Is really good for rack focus. It has an internal rack focus system that is spectacular. Incidentally, what I'm filming this with right now is the Zhiyun Weebill S, and it's got the Sony a7 III. So that causes some confusion sometimes. I actually do shoot on two different camera systems here. So I have Panasonic for the A-roll and one of the B-roll cams, and then the other B-roll cam is the Sony a7 III. The reason I do that is because Panasonic has stuff that it's pretty good at and not great at other stuff. Same thing with Sony. I haven't found a camera system yet that does everything all the time the way I want it to, so I wind up shooting on two different cameras. These two tripods right here, one houses the Rhino Arc V1 motion slider system, and this is the Rhino Arc V2. You did also see the Edelkrone there earlier. I picked that up for Black Friday. The reason why I still have both these in rotation is because this system will pull a perfect parallax. This system will not. Like, it does some stuff really well, but there's a lot of stuff that it doesn't do very well. So hopefully after I put the Edelkrone through the ringer for a while, I can maybe get rid of both of these and reclaim some space. This desk over here is where all the RGB stuff goes down. These acoustic panels you see in the back are from UpLift desk as well. These are very expensive and they're not without their problems. They don't match up seams 100%, so it didn't really give me the aesthetic I was looking for, but it's such a unique texture. I feel like if used sparingly, it's really effective. Because I didn't want to use it all the time, there's also a white paper pull down here as well if I just want an infinite white. This desktop is the glossy Linman white top. This is like a product photographer's best friend, and they don't make this anymore, which is a shame. I don't understand why IKEA has forsaken us, but this is hands down one of the best desktops ever for shooting B-roll because it reflects a lot of light. You can see it reflecting like the texture from the panels in the back. It reflects everything. It's really nice, really easy to use. This is just another spotlight with another aperture. This allows me to get like some spotlight stuff and some good isolation. So this whole setup over here, this is on Flexi Spot as well. This is a terrible, terrible desk frame. It wobbles really bad, but it works for now, and I don't feel the need to upgrade it. This is one of the lights that has kind of like replaced the Aperture C120D. This is the VL150. Really nice light. It is actually wearing the Aperture Light Dome Mark II, which is kind of bent, had a nasty accident during the move, but it's still hanging in there, still going strong. This is an excellent light for the money. If you don't have Aperture money, Godox all the way. This little cart under here is just a grip cart. This has everything I need to keep everything clean, dust free. It's got stands, gaffer's tape, pretty much anything I need to control a prop or to control or direct lighting while I'm filming. It keeps all this stuff off all the tabletops and all the ledges. And when I'm doing like comparative stuff, if I have like one mouse I'm looking at and like 5 I'm comparing, this makes sure that all those just aren't strewn all over the place. Over here in this little corner is where I keep everything for anything that's like a mess. So anytime I'm soldering anything or anytime I'm trying to cut anything down, mod anything, lube any switches, got the dragon fruits right there. Those things are pretty legit. This is the area where all that stuff goes down. And all this is just like a cheap IKEA bamboo top on top of some Alex drawers that are full of everything I need from modding, cables, different tools, whatever. A magnifier there because I'm getting old.
as well as the very first Ducky 1-2 Mini I ever reviewed. This really marked the moment that the channel really started to pick up steam, so that is forever immortalized over there. Thanks to my friends at mechanicalkeyboards.com. Alkaline Trio, one of the greatest bands of all time. Shout out Darren Zarder for the awesome gift there. The chair over here is the Secret Labs Titan in the charcoal and teal. This is, I think they call it their Ultra Weave fabric. It's probably the nicest of the gaming style chairs. The only two I've ever really used outside of this was like Vertigear and Noble chairs. This is in for testing right now, so there will be a review coming up pretty soon, as well as a big conversation about whether or not your money is better spent going with something new like this or going with something used like the Herman Miller over there. The biggest question I get on the channel over and over again, and it's almost always because somebody wants something for free or they want me to sell them something I have, is what do I do with everything after I review it? It's actually a pretty good question because I never imagined I would have to warehouse the sheer amount of stuff that shows up here. So a lot of it gets donated, some of it gets gifted away for friends and family, some gets sold at a really deep discount to other creators, and the rest of it I actually hang on to for comparison purposes. That's why I'm able to go back and show a brand new mouse next to a mouse that's like 2 years old. Same thing with keyboards, gaming headsets, etc. So inside this little hobbit door right here is the stash spot. This is all the reference library in here. So you have everything from all like the mice, all the keyboards, all the gaming headsets, the headphones, the DACs, the amps, all the different mouse pads, all the PC parts, generally everything I hang on to that I need for comparative purposes, all lives in this little room. So it's out of sight, out of mind, no clutter, no stress. And when I don't want to look at it, I don't have to. So yeah, that is the spot right there. It's amazing place to produce content, especially for a single person workflow. It's just got everything you need right where you need it without any setup or breakdown. And it's just, it's nice. It's a dream to be able to work up here. I really hope this inspires rather than discourages, because it's important to remember that like YouTube did all of this. Like this all came, like, yeah, brands help every once in a while, but the majority of this came out of pocket, and that's all possible due to YouTube. It's not like I was balling out of control at my previous job. So this is definitely something that's attainable. If I can do this, anybody out there can do this.
I actually laughed recently when I heard somebody describe my channel for the first time as a big YouTube channel, because it honestly doesn't feel any different to me today than it ever did to wake up and make these videos. I mean, except for the fact that I don't have to go to that other job anymore, which is absolutely dynamite. But it's really important to remember that every big channel you see that looks really intimidating when you're getting started basically started out with like one person and no budget and just a dream that you could create content, something that had enough value that you would find an audience out there that appreciated what you were doing. I can't thank you guys enough for believing in what I do. You keep watching them, I'll keep making them the same way I always have.
Again, if you want to get your hands on, or you just want some more information about anything that we talked about in today's video, the kit.co link down in the description is the easiest way to do that. Pretty sure it's been updated now 100% with the stuff I'm actually using every day. Any questions, you can hit me there or in the comments on this video. I really hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Here's to 2021 being a better, easier year for everybody out there. And until next time, stay up.